in the squadron. They called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hello. Man, did you hear? We all know about the Gilgo Beach murderer, right? They finally solved that case basically 15 years too late. They had all the evidence they needed to solve that bad boy all the way back in 2010, but they didn't hang it up on a bulletin board. All they had to do was put the information they had, not in a computer, but on a bulletin board, a cork one, right? You can get one at Staples. You can get one at the 5 and 10, right? Do they have the 5 and 10 store anymore? What do they have now? Michael's? You could go there. Even just put magnets on the refrigerator. It wasn't that much evidence that you needed. They had all the evidence. They had this guy was living in Massapequa Park. That's how they knew it from the cell phone. They knew also that he drove a Chevy Avalanche, and they knew he was a great big giant guy. Those three pieces of information the cops had in 2015, the FBI. Now, granted, it's the FBI, so maybe they weren't sharing stuff, right? They're known for that. They're famous for that. Oh, we can't share this. It's too important. We can't give this to the locals, or who knows. And it had that crazy police commissioner in Suffolk. What was his name? Burke, Jimmy Burke. Man, that guy has got to be a total head case in Suffolk County. He's in jail, out of jail, beating up people with sex toys, just a nut job. Hope he gets better. Anyway, he apparently was kind of presiding over this investigation in the weirdest way. And it was delayed. They finally put literally 2 and 2 together and got their guy. 2 and 2 equals 4 equals Rex Hoyerman. You know, Rex Hoyerman left his initials at the crime scene on a belt. It's RH right there. He basically left his name and phone number at the crime scene. They still couldn't find him. But huge credit still goes to Ray Tierney and Rodney Harrison because they came in and they thought they could, hey, all right, where's all the evidence? Bring it in here. We're going to solve this thing. And they had to comb through a lot of stuff, and within 6 weeks, they solved it. In 6 weeks, they had the guy, Rex Hoyerman. And then they followed him, and they built their evidence, and they had a grand jury. So we know that Rex killed a lot of people in that ramshackle weirdo house in Massapequa Park. He always timed the murders to happen when his wife was going on vacation. I think the wife is from Iceland. She has Icelandic roots. So she'd go over there to visit family or whatever. He wouldn't go because he wanted to stay home to relax and fulfill his various hobbies, hiring prostitutes and bringing them back to the house and dismembering them and then dumping chunks of the body over on the beach. So, I mean, maybe she's destitute, maybe she's crazy, but the wife is still in the house, and she sleeps in the basement. This is now known. There's a documentary on Peacock, and I don't really begrudge them too much for doing the documentary. They need dough like anybody, right? You see them. He doesn't look like he was the best provider in the world, spending all of his money on the porno and guns. He had 300 guns in that. What do you need with 300 guns? I'm all for the Second Amendment, but 300 guns? Yeah, he was a gun nut. And he was a nut. I mean, worse than a nut. He was a depraved serial killer. But he killed the women in the basement. And now the wife, the ex-wife, because they're divorced, still lives in the same house, but she moved into the basement. She now, her bedroom is the basement, is the kill chamber, is the dungeon. Ma'am, you got to get the hell out of there. You can't be sleeping in that room. It's unfathomable, if you will. Now, here she is, this Peacock thing, which, you know what? I am this close to signing up for Peacock. I am tired of registering for all this stuff, you know. Sometimes I'm on the computer and they made it very easy to subscribe. You ever click that thing and all you got to do is put in your password on your iPhone and there you go. Whammo, you subscribed. It's very easy to subscribe. I just signed up for Grok Plus, A Plus, Gold, Platinum. I couldn't find it. I asked it a question and it wouldn't answer it until I signed up for A Plus, Gold, Platinum, $30 a month. And I'm like, I got to have my answer. Sure. It's a 3-day free trial. I'll try it for 3 days and then I'll get back to them. No, that's what they're counting on. That's not going to happen. How do I even do that? All right, here she is. This is Asa Ellerup is her name. Curious name. Married to Hoyerman. She says that he confessed to her. He confessed to her while he was in jail. She visited him. All right, hit it, please, if you don't mind.
Every day you get to sit with a serial killer. What was the hardest part for you to hear?
Well, I put a wall.
What do you mean you put a
She
wall?
called him Mr. Hewerman.
Okay,
So his response was, "Oh, are we formal now, Mrs. Ellerup?"
Did you feel you were sitting across the table from a stranger?
No. When he started talking, he started feeling like that's the Rex I know. But I didn't want to see that one. I wanted to see the one I needed to see.
Paint a picture for us of what it was like to walk into that room.
He looked very nervous. Very, very nervous. And I said to him, "So, Mr. Hewerman, I understand that you are confessing to me on these murders. Can you please tell me how many of these women did you kill?" He said 8.
8? Was there any hesitation when he said 8?
No, he just told me the answer. He said he killed 8 women.
8.
8.
Who was the 8th? Because he's charged with 7.
I didn't ask.
He sat and told you he killed 8.
He said I wasn't home during all of them.
Were any of them killed in the house?
He said yes, they were killed in his room downstairs. All except one.
Wow. Hey, you know, it's dramatic enough. I don't think we need the violins and all that shocking music, okay? And when you think about it, okay, she visited him in jail. He confessed. He already confessed to the cops. He confessed to everybody. He didn't say all that much, but they made it sound very shocking. I also knew from the indictment, actually, from the first press conference, that he did all these killings when she was out of town. We knew that. Maybe some of this is news to her. Maybe she didn't read the indictment. I don't know. But that has got to be one of the weirdest sensations in the world. Very few people have experienced it. You know, what is it like when a family member, your husband, dad, son, whatever, is a serial killer? How do you adjust? How do you get used to that? You don't. There is this other thing that, yes, she did sleep in the basement. She does sleep in the basement. She's very spiritual, she says, and she can sense things. And she's down there and she's praying for, what is it here? Forgiveness, for the comfort or something like that. She didn't do anything wrong. Man, I've heard some Long Island accents in my day, but that was a pretty intense Long Island accent. You don't hear Long Island accents like you used to. They kind of have gone away. But, well, I feel for her a lot. And of course the victims, but that is such an unthinkable, weirdo place to be. We got any more clips? All right, maybe we'll get a couple more later. Peacock. I'm going to have to subscribe. Meanwhile, if you don't know what the hell's going on in the Iran war, it is very difficult to figure out what is going on, in part because we have no media over there. And remember my favorite phrase, okay, when it comes to war, fog of war. It's a phrase been around for decades. Soldiers use it and generals use it to describe the basic mayhem and lack of predictability, all kinds of weirdness that sets in. It's not literal fog. It's mental fog, confusion. This is McNamara. Robert McNamara, the most controversial, up until Hegseth, Secretary of Defense we ever had. Cut 1.
There's a wonderful phrase, the fog of war. What the fog of war means is, war is so complex, it's beyond the ability of the human mind to comprehend all the variables. Our judgment, our understanding are not adequate. And we kill people unnecessarily.
Didn't catch the last part there. Unnecessarily? Is that what he said? The big thing with McNamara is he's like, oops, we made a mistake in Vietnam, and we knew it all along. That's he became very, very famous for that. It's interesting. He was one of the most important men in the world. I've seen that documentary. It's called The Fog of War, and it shows him driving around Washington, D.C. in a little Toyota. He's driving it. He's like 87 years old, and he's driving himself around town. And it's interesting. You get these big jobs, but everybody, you're not important. The job is, right? Everything moves on, and we're just people. I saw somebody very, very distinguished, this great man, been elected to many offices, appointed to many offices, went to all the right schools, and I saw him having an argument with a cab driver. Just like a cab driver had no idea who it was, didn't care. You can never get too big a head. All right, that's not a problem for most of us, right? The world treats us kind of harshly every day, but that doesn't mean we got to treat it harshly back. You know this thing about the Southern Poverty Law Center. It opens up everything. The whole Charlottesville hoax. The Charlottesville hoax in the olden days, like the day before yesterday, was just about President Trump and what he said there, right? Remember what he said afterwards? There were fine people on both sides. Well, there were. There were absolutely fine people on both sides. There were fine people who did not think that the Robert E. Lee statue was appropriate, and there were people who thought it was appropriate and it should be maintained. There's nothing wrong with either one of those viewpoints. You can have that discussion. I could say now, because the whole thing was a hoax, that all of Charlottesville was actually a hoax. It's 2017. President Trump had been president for 6 months. And literally out of nowhere, there's a huge protest because of that statue that's been sitting in that square of Robert E. Lee since 1924. Almost 100 years goes by, no problem. President Trump is president, and then it suddenly becomes a problem. The whole damn thing was fake. Everything. I'll go into the new stuff in a little bit. The Southern Poverty Law Center was paying one of the, not Proud Boys, one of the organizers, thousands and thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, paying one of the organizers to organize, to get people there. And this is just one piece. There were other organizations, probably Democrat National Committee headquarters, paying so they could have this thing. It's called the false flag. Get your enemy to do what you want them to do, then accuse them of doing what you wanted them to do. So you can say, aha, look at what they did. Kind of makes sense now, doesn't it? All right, now you remember there was this big riot, and that woman got run over, which throws her entire case. It's like, it reminds me of Ashley Babbitt. Ashley Babbitt, that day, I think for the left, had to die so they could call it a deadly insurrection. They were out to kill somebody, murder somebody that day. So it could be a deadly insurrection. Now you had to have somebody murdered in Charlottesville so you could increase the severity of it. And President Trump's comments would seem even more, right? Do you remember all that stuff? Do you remember what he said? Good people on both sides, which is fair. He explicitly said the neo-Nazis should be condemned totally. They didn't want anybody to hear that. And some of them don't even know President Trump ever said that. You want to hear? What should we do? This is the typical presentation. The typical presentation of what President Trump did there. Let's see. Try cut 10, if you don't mind. Cut 10.
Man who has often struggled to unequivocally denounce white supremacists.
They showed up in Charlottesville to protest. They didn't let themselves down, and you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Those words have power. They have meaning. And when Donald Trump speaks, the world listens. Neo-Nazis and white supremacists certainly listen. So why can't he denounce them? Why can't he reject their support?
You heard that, right? You heard what he did? He just played that little snippet. Most people only know about that little snippet. Even a lot of reporters, a lot of fake news reporters. There's a reason why they're fake news. They're lazy. We may not have time to play all of what President Trump really said, but I can play you the fake freak out about saying there are very fine people on both sides. Cut 9.
Donald Trump stood on national television and said there were very fine people on both sides when one side had Nazis.
He uttered those 6 words, the most disgraceful words the president's spoken in my lifetime. Very fine people on both sides.
Calling these folks fine people is a load of crap. They're not fine people.
He said there were, quote, some very fine people on both sides. very fine people on both sides.
Oh, my God. How could he say such a thing? It was so organized. And people still believe that. Do you want to play the other one? Here's what President Trump really said. It's going to take some time. Cut 11.
Excuse me, to protest. They didn't let themselves down as you, and you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. George Washington was a slave owner. Was George Washington a slave owner? So will George Washington now lose his status? Are we going to take down, are we going to take down statues to George Washington? How about Thomas Jefferson? What do you think of Thomas Jefferson? You like him? Okay, good. Are we going to take down the statue? Because he was a major slave owner. Now we're going to take down his statue. So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history, you're changing culture, and you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly.
And they treated us unfairly. You, President Trump, us, the country, how dare they? Very few people know what you just heard. Very, very few. Be right back.
Greg Kelly.
Let's go, Brandon.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Greg Kelly.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And from Charlottesville, for the first time, I have seen footage that shows just how peaceful things were there before the agitators showed up. And there were agitators definitely from the left. The agitators who started the gosh damn thing were from the left. They were Black Lives Matter. They were Antifa. And I found it. I've looked for this before. Very hard to find, actually. There's a lot of junk out there. You know, if you look up anything, they say the internet is forever. It's not true. The internet can be massaged, obviously, deleted. You can do all kinds of things. Take content down, never to be found unless you archive things. Some people advocate for, you should buy hardcover books, because sooner or later they may try to delete those books. And they can actually delete books that you have. You have a Kindle, right? They could reach into your Kindle and take them. And I could totally see that happening. That could happen someday. I'm a little bit, all right, we're going to be fine. But here it is. This is a peaceful moment. And actually, it's all peaceful in Charlottesville. There's a reporter there kind of trying to, you can tell he's trying to, in his own way, start trouble. He's at the monument, Robert E. Lee, August 2017. And he says, there's violence over there. Why don't you do something about it? He seems to want something bad to happen, in my opinion. Maybe. Cut 12, if you don't mind. Cut 12. He's talking to a cop.
Just want to let you know it's been all kinds of crazy violence over here. Pepper spray, people beating each other with sticks. We're trying to figure out if the police are going to intervene to stop that, or if it's just going to keep going on.
Well, we've all got different assignments to try to maintain some sort of order here. So that's what we're focusing on right now.
Got to get some sort of order here. That's what we're focusing on right now. Good for them. There was order right there until the leftists showed up. In that same footage, you get a group of Antifa types, Black Lives Matter. Even the liberal guy who put this thing together acknowledges that they are leftists and they are the ones who started the aggression. Cut 13, if you don't mind. Cut 13. Listen carefully.
Hundreds of people had shown up to protest the white supremacist. Most were nonviolent, but some, black-clad, militant anti-fascists, had come to fight. And while police looked on, the crowd grew more aggressive.
All right. Now, I know you can't see, and he was kind of whispering, but he said, the anti-white supremacists were, most of them were peaceful, but some came to fight. And he said they were black-clad, Antifa, and with the police watching, they advanced on the white supremacists. Now, they say white supremacists. Anybody white there, right? Anybody who was for Robert E. Lee is automatically considered a white supremacist. I keep looking for the proof. Okay, where you say they're white supremacists. All I saw were the leftists, the Antifa type, push down a police barricade and start fighting with these guys. And President Trump is right. They had bats, they had weapons, and they were looking for a fight, and they got one. It's just amazing where we are. So now we know that this whole thing was created. It was created so that the Democrats could have this mantra, the Charlottesville. It's almost like it was the pre-January 6th. It was the January 6th prelude, because Joe Biden made this the very essence of his entire campaign. The whole point of his campaign was Charlottesville. They weren't going to leave that to chance. They had to have an event. Cut 7, please.
Charlottesville, Virginia is home to the author of one of the great documents in human history. We know it by heart. We hold these truths to be self-evident.
He's just warming up there. That's the very first word out of his mouth when he's declaring for president. Charlottesville, Virginia. And he's warming up, right? Oh, we love it because of Jefferson. We love it. It's Jefferson wrote but by the way, Jefferson was a racist. So, we got big problems in America and we're all screwed up. And right. And Charlottesville also is where something very, very bad and very, very dark happened. And President Trump said the worst thing in the world. Cut 8.
Charlottesville is also home to a defining moment for this nation in the last few years. It was there on August of 2017 we saw Klansmen and white supremacists and neo-Nazis come out in the open. Their crazed faces, illuminated by torches, veins bulging, and bearing the fangs of racism, chanting the same anti-Semitic bile heard across Europe in the 30s.
Stop 1 second. He is saying, like, oh, these people look like monsters and their veins bulging. I didn't see that in the footage. For the most, they're just like ordinary guys walking around. Pick it up, though. Oh, should have one more. I'll get back to you on that one. But in the meantime, Melania, beautiful Melania, the First Lady of the United States,
strong vision to the future,
is speaking in Washington.
All 50 states are participating in the Presidential AI Challenge, and almost 3,000 schools nationwide joined the White House AI workshop. Our educators, students, and academic administrators understand the importance of mastering new technology. Over the past 2 months, America sat at the intersection of youth, technology, and education on global stage. I'm honored to have had an opportunity to address the United Nations Security Council about the importance of peace through education. We are not here to prepare our children for yesterday's world. Be purposeful with your objectives and remember that AI accelerates everything. Leaders from almost 50 nations joined me at the White House and the State Department for Fostering the Future Together's Global Coalition Summit. Never before has the American First Lady welcomed so many leaders to the White House for diplomatic purpose in one day. I'm proud. I am proud that America's best technology companies, including Meta, Palantir, OpenAI, Adobe, Zoom Communications, X, and Microsoft, had the chance to advance our mission to empower children with technology and education. And of course, I completed the 4th reunification of Ukrainian and Russian children with their families. As you can imagine, this is not an easy feat, but I applaud leadership from both nations in working with my representative and me to bring love and safety back to each individual who has been displaced as a result of this horrible war. I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve as First Lady, but understand that my persistence alone is not enough. Together, we can change people's lives for the better. Please join me in advancing the Be Best Fostering the Future initiative nationwide. America's children will ultimately protect our future freedom. Thank you.
Well, I think she's amazing. She is awesome. You know, I've seen her a couple of times in person. I've interviewed her once or twice, and I'll tell you what, when I was there, when President Trump declared in 2015, he came down the escalator, very few people talk about who else was on the escalator with him, and it was her. And there was something about her that day. I didn't recognize her. All I could think about, okay, there's Trump. Who is that woman? What is going on with that? What is that all about? It was unbelievable. Anyway, it's her. And, one of these days I want to hear her speak another language. She speaks 5. Slovenian, Italian, French, Spanish, I think. Even if she just speaks 2, I want to hear it. You know, that'd be interesting. Hey, she talked about the war with Ukraine and Russia. It would be nice if that ended. It also would be nice if the Democrats and the media had as much enthusiasm for America in its fight with Iran that it did for Ukraine in its fight with Russia, right? Remember that? Zelensky coming to town and everybody hugging and kissing him and, all that money and money and money. And not only that, the money and the bombs and more money and the Ukraine flag all over the place and members of Congress wearing a foreign flag on their lapel. Why was it? Why did they get so much? Why? I mean, NATO's not NATO and Ukraine. Ukraine's not a member of NATO. It's one of the most corrupt countries on earth. What the hell do we care? At some point, what do we care? I'm sorry. Big countries invaded little countries. At one point, not that long ago, they were the same country. But no, we made all that money. And we're more tellingly, when I was in the military, I know I did this probably at some point, but not much. We would write messages on the bombs. I don't think I ever did it, but I've seen it done. You've seen it done, right? In movies. They've been doing this since ancient Rome. Ancient Rome, they had boomerangs and slingshots, and they take a rock and they put a little message, hey, Caesar, screw you, from the centurions, and they'd write that on the rock. They'd engrave that on the rock, and then they fired it at Caesar, hopefully, or one of his buddies. I saw a bomb yesterday from World War II. Happy Easter, Adolf. A nice time to die, or something like that, right? Just Osama bin Laden, eat this. On more recent conflicts, people write stuff on bombs. Soldiers have been doing it. Marines have been doing it. Sailors have been doing it. I've never seen a politician do it until this Ukraine thing. Here is the governor of Pennsylvania talking trash on a bomb, writing on a bomb that's ultimately going to kill somebody, kill some Russian kid. Is that really the role for Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, who is way overrated, by the way? Way, way, way overrated. Every time he speaks, you can tell it's a Barack Obama impression. He's got an answer for that. Well, if people think I'm impersonating Barack Obama, he was one of the best speakers ever. I'll take that as a compliment. That's what he says every time. He thinks that's clever. He thinks that's cute. Cut 3, please. Cut 3.
Signing an artillery shell after the visit, he posted this moment on X, captioning, quote, "We must all do our part in the fight for freedom, from the workers in Scranton who make Pennsylvania the arsenal of democracy to the brave Ukrainian soldiers protecting their country. We stand with Ukraine in their just defense of their homeland in the face of Russian aggression."
So that started the trend. Nikki Haley started writing on bombs. Mike Pence would show up at the bomb factory. Democrat coalitions would come in. I think Nancy Pelosi tried to scribble something nasty on a bomb. And I compare that to what President Trump said to Iran a couple of weeks ago, right? Civilization will end. Those words were strategic. Those words were intended to prevent violence, not foster it, believe it or not. Whereas they were just celebrating violence. There's such a difference. It's remarkable. And who did they say was the war criminal, right? I do have to point out, President Trump, for those of you who think that he always promised not to go to war, that's wrong. That's wrong. He says he doesn't like dumb wars. He didn't like Iraq and no weapons of mass destruction. But as far as other wars, you got to bomb them hard, potentially. Cut 4.
I'm going to bomb the out of them. It's true. I don't care. I don't care. They've got to be stopped. I would bomb the out of them. I would just bomb those suckers. That's right. I'd blow up the pipes. I'd blow up the I'd blow up every single inch. There would be nothing left. They want to go in a clean, environmental way as we bomb the out of a country. Can you believe this?
Anyway, this is all through 2015, all the way up to 2024. He's all for bombing when it's necessary. He hates war, but it's necessary. When it's necessary, it's got to be fought. If only our culture and our media would get on board. It doesn't really matter, I guess. It doesn't really matter. We have won this thing. It'd be nice if there were a little bit more positive attitude about the whole thing. We'll be right back.
Greg Kelly
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Anyway, we're back. Gosh, you heard what they did to those cops who arrested the guy in the liquor store. I know it wasn't pretty. That's the problem with law enforcement. It's not always pretty. Actually, that's not a problem. It's a byproduct. Law enforcement, when you're enforcing the laws, force. It requires force at times, Mondami, you little wimp, huh? Oh, my gosh, you're so disturbed by it, huh? You're disturbed with a little force, right? And you're the guy who's running this place? Are you crazy? He would never make it as a cop, would he? Mondami. No way.
I don't know. I don't think so.
He has no upper body strength whatsoever. None. You can just
tell. We saw that with the bench press.
Yeah, what did he do? He failed. Oh, I don't know why I thought about this, but do you remember that issue I had with my testicles a while back? I thought it was cancerous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it turns out it's benign.
Right.
Right. Well, I still have a problem. It's getting bigger. It's so unbelievably big. It's becoming a thing. It's like a thing that I have to deal with now.
This is what you called me in here to discuss?
No, I was actually more intrigued by the Mamdani situation, and the guys and the cops hadn't given their badge.
Right.
Okay,
sorry,
so wait, what is it? That's my problem with the...
You're saying that there's a medical concern there of some kind.
No, it's just awkward.
And it's just with one of the...
Shut up. I should not have brought it up. It just, when I was thinking about straining, I thought about, it made me think about something. So,
all right, well, I mean, I think you should have a medical professional check it out.
No, he already did. He told me, you're fine. It's not cancerous. If it becomes too big, though, you may want to get it reduced. But he said it's a surgery. You know what I mean? And you can't, you got to take 3 days off from work, and then you can't exercise for 2 weeks. Of course, when I heard that, oh, yeah, I'll be exercising. I haven't exercised in 2 weeks. I just don't. It didn't sound all that great.
No.
And quite frankly, I said, what? Well, if it's that painful and you can't walk for 2 weeks, why would anybody do it? You know what he said? For cosmetics. For how it looks. I said, do you realize this scrotum is not a cosmetic? There's really not a cosmetic factor there.
No. Yeah. It's not. It kind of just, no. It's just there.
Scrotal issues are not top of mind. However, then again, you know what I mean? You don't want to. It's the kind of thing that doesn't attract anybody, but it could repel somebody. There you go. I think I figured it out.
Okay, right.
It's the kind of thing that, shouldn't. It's kind of like your socks.
Right.
You should think about it. Man should think about his socks twice a day. I heard this in a commercial a long time ago, back when commercials were great. A man should think about a sock once a day or twice a day. When he puts them on and when he takes them off. That's it. So these socks that come down a little bit and they're showing your calf, or these socks that have stupid designs on them, and hey, look at that guy, he's really zany. Look at his socks. You don't want to
That's the wrong way to do it.
You don't want to think about socks, and you don't want to think about your scrotum. And if you have a situation where your scrotal issues are dogging you, well, maybe it's time to see the doctor. And I think it is time to see the doctor. We're talking big.
So what? I mean, without really knowing much about the medicine behind it, what's actually going wrong?
He explained it to me, and he said, like, it could have been trauma. It could have been a lot of things. They can't know. But basically, fluid has gone down there.
So it's like somebody's knee that's swollen or something like that.
He didn't say it that way, because it may not be trauma. He just says there's a tendency for fluid to do that. And that's what we're dealing with here. Or that's what I'm dealing with here.
Now we're dealing with it. Yeah.
What's wrong? Well, you know what? All right, sorry. Oh, boy, let's talk about the UK and the Exchequer. Yeah. What do you think?
I just want to make it clear that I'm not the person, believe it or not, that was raising an objection here.
So bottom line, what's the thing?
Because it sounds like it could have been.
What's the thing about these cops? We got to get them. We got to get their badges back. You know what? It's, again, that Jessica Tisch doesn't know anything either. That Mamdani doesn't know how to arrest somebody. I'd like to see Mamdani and Jessica Tisch try to arrest somebody who doesn't want to be arrested. Mm-hmm. Let's see how that goes. And give them guns, right? And let's see how long it takes Mamdani to reach for the gun. These guys didn't reach for a gun. I want to see Jessica Tisch and Mamdani. I want to put them in the ring against a guy about that size, 230 pounds, who doesn't want to be arrested, and see what happens. And oh, by the way, I don't think they were punching the guy once they got him in cuffs. That was the problem. They couldn't get him in cuffs. He was resisting. He wouldn't give him hands and all that stuff. And once he was in cuffs, that's when things kind of de-escalated until people from the community started stirring up trouble again.
I'd have to look at the video again, but I do remember that the guys they gave a couple kicks, I think, when the guy was already down in cuffs.
No, that's the thing. He wasn't in cuffs.
Oh, okay.
I know. He kicked him in the ass. He kicked him right in the ass. I mean, it wasn't that big a kick.
No,
it wasn't that big a kick.
I've seen.
I mean, do you know what they did to? Remember Abner Louima? You think this guy has problems? I mean, they give him a light little kick. It was like it was nothing. That was nothing, right? It was nothing.
I mean, I don't know if I call it nothing, but I think that there are things that happen in police work, and you can't resist arrest, or it's going to cause you problems.
Well, until recently.
Stop resisting.
Until recently. Now you can resist arrest. You can sue the city.
Give me your badge number. What's your badge number?
Right. I hate that. I hate that. I would rather take the demerit. Send me to the CCRB. Look it up yourself. What's your social security number? Give me your ID. I'm asking the questions.
You're going to go to the Citizens Complaint Review Board?
Can I become a cop just for a little while somehow? Auxiliary.
You have their connections.
Yeah. No. I mean, I can't go to the academy now. Quite frankly, I've aged out. I think there's a limit. I think you got to be like,
that's true.
36 years old.
You couldn't be deputized?
No. And I would be, not for me. All right. Is there anything else on you already covered all that. I just want to emphasize once again for everybody, Charlottesville. It's too bad, though. People move on. They forget. They forget how big January 6th was, how big Charlottesville, how they used that as a weapon to silence Trump proponents. People felt ashamed about supporting Trump. After all, he was such a racist.
And they built on each other also, like the fights between friends and family members that happened during January 6th. A lot of people probably referenced, and don't forget the Unite the Right rally and there are good people on both sides. I mean, we've heard that for so many years.
Yeah. Well, here's Todd Blanche doing what I love. It's called accountability. And listen, everybody, if you don't mind, it is called Todd Blanche Cut 6.
In the Middle District of Alabama, a grand jury returned an 11-count indictment charging the Southern Poverty Law Center with 6 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of bank fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. According to the charges in the indictment, the SPLC is a nonprofit entity that purports to fight white supremacy and racial hatred by reporting on extremist groups and conducting research to inform law enforcement groups with the goal of dismantling these groups. As the indictment describes, the SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred. The indictment describes this conduct in detail, but one troubling example is that the SPLC was paying a member of the leadership group that planned the Unite the Right protest in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017 that resulted in the death of one person and injured dozens more.
So that is shocking stuff. And I know maybe it's like, oh, well, it's not. And this group was paying money to people to act like racists, right? They wanted the racism so they can point, look at the racism, and look at President Trump supporting the racism. We're paying these racists to come out so we can say that this is now Donald Trump's America. It is just astounding. Now, I knew about the original hoax, but it turns out the whole gosh damn thing is a hoax. And what else are we going to find out? I want to know who else paid. You know, these protests hardly ever, they don't happen organically, you know? And it takes time and money to get to to drive, to make those stupid signs, right? Porta potties. You know what's really bad about Charlottesville? You see all the media that are there. They're taking, you know, at one point there's more media. There's more media than regular people. And if you're white, they already assume you're a white supremacist. It's like a given. All the white supremacists. Remember that phantom that they worried about they lied about America, my friend.
And they made it this big, supposedly anti-Semitic thing. The Jews will not replace us, when we know the anti-Semitism's on the political left.
And by the way, I listened to that like 16 times. They're saying you will not replace us.
Right.
You will not replace us.
Mm-hmm.
Jews. That doesn't even make sense. All right. James Flippin, thank you. There's the music. Be right back.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?